Amendment 104, Lord Moylan.
My Lords, we come now to a group of amendments which deal with second stage reform. And I feel it incumbent on me, therefore, to start by tackling directly the remarks of the noble Lord Grocott in the last group, where he suggested, I hope I'm not misrepresenting him, that noble lords on this side of the House who advocated for further reform beyond this bill were either acting in bad faith or at least inconsistently, in that they hadn't been calling for that reform before today. And I think that is a charge which is easily understood. I can entirely understand why the noble lord might reach that view, and it does need to be answered, I think, before we go ahead. And the only answer I can offer is, to some extent, a repeat of remarks I made earlier in committee, on an earlier day in committee, which is that when the circumstances change, other parts of you change one part of a complicated machine, other parts of it also change and need to be re-evaluated. And as I've said myself now perhaps twice, to turn this House into an entirely appointed House, in my view, makes it ridiculous in a 21st century environment, in a democracy. And therefore one is forced to think by this measure, one is forced to think, nothing wrong with it, forced to think about what the future might be. And we'll each reach different views, but it doesn't mean to say that because we haven't articulated them before, we're behaving inconsistently or in good faith, or in bad faith. So I hope that gives some reassurance to the noble Lord Grocott that we are actually taking these issues very seriously. Now, I shall speak only briefly to my own amendment and allow other noble lords to speak to their amendments in this group. My own is in some ways the simplest. It looks forward to what we refer to it as second stage reform, but really there are three stages of reform in the programme indicated by the noble Baroness, the Lord Privy Seal. There is this bill, there is then the other measures which I regard as being under the heading immediate, but in the Labour Party manifesto, but she believes should follow presumably reasonably soon. And then there is a further commitment, which is clearly separate in time in the Labour Party manifesto, to consult on altering the House of Lords so as to give more representation to the regions and nations. My amendment simply says that the bill should only proceed when the government has issued that consultation document. They're committed to consultation, and presumably the consultation begins formally with a consultation document that would contain options and questions and so forth. It isn't necessarily a firm commitment, together with a draft bill which might have alternative sections in it reflecting that consultation document. And it would show earnest on the part of the front bench that there really is going to be change, that the rest of their manifesto is not a hollow shell, that we are not simply going to be left, as so many of us suspect and fear, with this reform, the reform in this bill, and then nothing else to follow. So it's opening a door to the front bench to say, yes, we are serious about our manifesto, and we believe that these documents should be issued and there for public scrutiny. The process will start, not conclude, but the process will start before the bill commences. I think it's a very modest ask of the government, and I hope that the Lord Privy Seal would find herself able to show her earnest by agreeing to it. I beg to move.
Amendment proposed, clause 4, page 2, line 16, leave out from force to end of line 19 and insert on the day after the Secretary of State has A, issued a document for public consultation containing proposals for ensuring the membership of the House of Lords is more representative of the regions and nations, and B, published a draft bill giving effect to those changes. And, my Lords, I must inform the House that if Amendment 104 is agreed to, I cannot call Amendments 105 to 110 by reason of preemption.